Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bosch. The number of clean diesel models in North America will double by 2014. Bosch Clean Diesel. Good, clean, fun. Bridgestone. Your journey, our passion. Dow Automotive Systems. Improving durability and increasing design flexibility with Betamate structural adhesives at dowbetamate.com. And by the 2013 Hyundai Sonata. Learn more at HyundaiSonata.com.
TGIF, thank God it's Friday, and that means it's also TFAAP, time for another Autoline poll. But hold your horses, because that's coming up later in the show. Plus, we'll have a preview of Autoline this week with my guests Chubba Chetta and Jim Hall. But now, let's sally forth. Yesterday, we reported that Toyota is suing the Mexican government to prevent it from adopting U.S. fuel economy standards. Well, last night, I got a call from a very highly placed industry source to give me the background to the story. 2 years ago, Mexico hosted a global conference on climate change. Then Mexican President Felipe Calderón, promising to be the greenest president ever to serve Mexico, swore the country would adopt U.S. fuel economy standards. But the U.S. standards have a lot of flexibility in them. Some would say loopholes that give automakers credits for flex fuel cars, electric cars, and all kinds of other adjustments. The Mexican standard does not provide any flexibility. It simply demands that automakers achieve 35 miles per gallon by 2016. Automakers are up in arms about it, and that's why Toyota, Chrysler, and others are suing the government to prevent that standard from being adopted. BorgWarner, the supplier company that plays such a significant role in the turbocharger and dual-clutch transmission business, named a new CEO yesterday. James Verrier will take over from Tim Manganiello on January 1st. Anyone who follows the Indianapolis 500 will remember seeing Manganiello handing out the BorgWarner trophy to the winner of the race, which the company has been doing since 1936. We've all heard the anecdotes about people driving out of their way to find cheaper gas. Now, we've got the scientific proof. This is one of the early findings from research being done by the University of Michigan and the Department of Transportation. They're tracking 3,000 cars equipped with vehicle-to-vehicle communication in an effort to improve traffic flow and reduce traffic fatalities. But researchers say they've gathered more data than they ever expected to get, including the proof that people really do drive out of their way to get cheaper gasoline. Mercedes-Benz just revealed a futuristic design concept called the Ener-G-Force. It was developed for the Los Angeles Design Challenge, which was holding a contest for what a police car might look like in 2025. But Mercedes took it a step further and designed a civilian version and even built a full-size scale model. And since it's for the future, the Ener-G-Force is all about being green. Recycled water is stored in tanks on the roof, which is transferred to something called a hydrotech converter, where it's converted into hydrogen to operate fuel cells. The electricity from these are kept in storage units that are accessible in the side skirts. And four-wheel hub motors are what make the Ener-G-Force move. Okay, yous guys, time for our Autoline poll. And for this, we're going back to a story we reported earlier in the week. On Monday, we told you that Volkswagen's 75-year-old Ferdinand Piëch will remain chairman at least until 2016, and he could be sticking around until the ripe age of 82. So here's our question. How old is too old to run a car company? Should the lifers be broomed out to make room for new blood, or do you say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Tell us what you think by clicking the poll link below today's show notes. As usual, we will reveal the final tally on Monday's Autoline Daily. Now, get off my lawn, unless you want to hear how I used to walk to school uphill, in the snow, both ways. Hey, coming up next, we've got a fantastic review of almost all the electric cars that are out there and what their prospects are for the future.
Dow Automotive Systems, driving solutions in automotive, commercial transportation, and aftermarket with innovative products like Betamate structural adhesives. Lighter, stronger, safer. DowBetamate.com.
The topic for Autoline this week is all about electric cars, just about all of them. I invited Jim Hall from 2953 Analytics and Chubba Chetta, formerly the editor of Car and Driver, to tell me about their test drives in those cars and how they think the EV business is going to go. In the following clip, I asked them to give me their impressions of the Tesla Model S, which just won Motor Trend's Car of the Year award earlier this week.
They're finally starting to deliver the Model S's, and they're starting with the top-of-the-line versions, which is what I drove, a signature performance. Now, this was
very expensive.
$110,000 car, take off $7,500, still $103,000, really expensive. But two important things to know. Number one, with a full charge, and this has an 85 kilowatt-hour battery, I drove one 211 miles in the Detroit area, and that was
that's really good.
Fantastic.
And real driving, you weren't baby-footing.
I was not babying it at all, and taking it over to a buddy, demonstrating the performance. And by the way, the thing goes 4.6 to 60. So suddenly, this is a car that you don't have range anxiety in. You can do a full day in a big area and drive it around. The other thing that you need to know is it's a pretty good car. It works well, it's solid, it handles well, it rides well.
It's a great package. It is actually a great package. There's a trunk in the back and a trunk in the front.
And it's got these optional jump seats you can put in the back that'll hold two kids. They've got to be over 3 feet tall and under 70 pounds, but it's rearward facing. I mean, we had a Volvo wagon with those. We had a Volvo wagon with those seats in it. We actually used it with our daughter and her buddies all the time. So it is a very good package. The thing has this instantaneous response you get from an electric car. You depress the accelerator, and the thing just leaps ahead. You know, an IC engine, much as we all love them, the airflow's got to pick up, the valve phaser's got to get in position, there's momentum in the engine, the torque converter has to unlock, it has to kick down, the turbo needs to spool up. I mean, even on a ZR1, this stuff takes time. It doesn't take any time on a Model S. I mean, it leaps forward, and it's very nice to drive.
And we're talking 400 horsepower.
That's right, 4.6 to 60, even though it's a 4,800-pound car.
So, Jim, you're impressed by Tesla and what they've accomplished with the S as well?
Absolutely. The Tesla Model S is a real, honest-to-goodness car that could live on its own merits even if it wasn't an EV, even if it wasn't. And they'd probably sell more of them because then you wouldn't have the problem with charging it because it still has some charge issues. For example, it has a dedicated charger, or a dedicated plug. It doesn't use the SAE standard plug.
No, but they have them in the trunk.
Yeah, there's an adapter for it, so you can use a station, but they're on their own. They're sort of doing everything on their own. This is their way of doing stuff.
Like Apple, not open standard.
Exactly. There's this fabulous 17-inch screen in the center that is basically the control set for everything except basically turn indicators and so on. I mean, HVAC's there.
There's not a knob on the dashboard, and the only two buttons are the emergency flasher and the glove box open, and that's it. Everything else is on the screen.
So it looks very clean.
Oh, yeah.
Chubba and Jim just know so much, and they're so good at explaining their points of view. You've got to watch the show. It really is that good. I promise you're going to learn a lot. Anyway, that wraps up another week of following one of the funnest industries in the world. Thanks for watching. We'll see you Monday.
Wards is the industry leader for news, data, and analysis. That's why companies across the globe subscribe to our premium service, maybe even your own. Log in for subscriber access now. Check your company's intranet for details, and rely on wardsauto.com to keep you informed.